Hello and welcome to the Oilers Live podcast. I am Michael. I am your host. We're doing a live broadcast today. We've got a couple of special guests. We've got Kelly from Beer League Heroes and Sean Patrick Ryan, SPR from the Late Night with the Oil Night or theoilnight.ca. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
All right, welcome. Live show number 3. Pretty exciting. Got a couple guests. So I'm going to start just by plugging the Oilers Live Cup, which you guys should be well aware of. It is happening December the 9th. It's a Sunday. It's pre-Battle of Alberta game. It's going down at the Downtown Community Arena in Edmonton. It goes 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. with an after party to follow. I just opened it up today. I've had a couple people asking to be skaters, so we're going to open it up. I've got 5 more spots left now. A couple more exciting announcements this week. Registration, of course, is free. So you just log in or register. Go to Oilers.live. There's a link to the right. Of course, you can go through all my tweets. There's tons of links there for registration through Eventbrite. Register as a fan or register as a player. And, we ask that if you can, it's not a requirement, but if you can, you do a little donation or a large donation, whatever your preference, to the Chinook Autism Society. One of the players that we have is an autism parent and was the really kind of the inspiration for the Chinook Autism Society as our, donation partner. Guys, thanks for coming to the show. You watch any hockey tonight?
Oh yeah, I watched a ton of hockey.
SPR.
Decide on a game.
Yeah, I know there was some good games going on. Of course, a couple still ongoing. Probably one of the biggest surprises of the night was Philly leading 5-1 over Vegas. So if you're not watching, that one's on Sportsnet right now. You can go watch that, or you could stay and listen to us live, which is probably the more exciting of the two options. Let's start. Let's chat a little bit of Oilers hockey before we begin. Just talking about stuff around the league. As we carry on tonight, pretty much the roster is set. Sounds like McClellan says Russell is in for Saturday's game. Sean, let's start with you. What do you think of the opening day roster? Any big surprises to you, or what's your initial thoughts?
Well, I'm still curious what they're going to do for the second line. I didn't see the lineup. Who do they have projected on the second line with Draisaitl? I assume Lucic, and then who do they have on right wing?
So that's a good question. I haven't looked at the lineups. I haven't looked at. Usually, one good for that is Stauffer tells you who is practicing. Mm-hmm. Kelly, you hear anything? Here we go.
They got Yamamoto in there.
Yeah, they got Yamamoto. So let me read off. This is straight off Stauffer's tweet 17 hours ago. RNH, McDavid, and Ratty, of course, on the top line. Lucic, Draisaitl, and Yamamoto practicing together on the second. Reeder, Strome, and Puljujarvi on the third. And then Kyra, Brodziak, and Kassian on the fourth line. Kajula and Chason look to be odd man out. Then we've got Clefbaum and Larson, Nurse and Benning, Russell and Bear, and of course Talbot and Koskinen in net. So if you go by those pairings, it looks like Garrison and Bouchard will get the night off. I guess so. Your thoughts, Sean?
Yeah, well, I definitely like the fact Bear's in. That's good. Even we were talking about this before. I feel like he's kind of earned his way on the team. You know, he's looked really solid on both ends of the ice. So the fact that even though Russell's coming back, they're pulling Garrison instead of Bear. I like that. So that's a good sign. The issue I have, or the concern I have with this lineup, is I really don't like Yamamoto with Draisaitl at all. I think when he's away from Draisaitl, he's a little more creative. When he plays with Draisaitl, he feels like he's got to give him the puck a little bit more, and I don't really see a lot of chemistry there. As a lot of fans, I think we much prefer to see Puljujarvi with Draisaitl, and I'm sure at some point we probably will. But if they are comfortable with Puljujarvi, on the third line with Strome, then get Reeder up there. Like I like. They brought in Reeder for a reason, to kind of play with Draisaitl. They do have chemistry before. They do have a little bit of past history. I thought they looked well, or they looked good together their last game, and I don't know why they're forcing Yamamoto with Draisaitl, trying to give him somebody. It almost feels like a bit of like Kajula. They're forcing him up the lineup. He has no chemistry with Draisaitl whatsoever. We got to get that second line going. Either put Puljujarvi or Reeder, or both, with Draisaitl on the second line, and it gets quick. I feel like we're going to see the McDavid line's going to be on fire, and then the second line's going to struggle again, and then they're going to be scrambling for answers. But overall, I think it's pretty solid. I think the penalty kill should be much better. I like the defensive pairs, and as long as Talbot holds up, I think I think they're going to be in every game.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Kelly. Your thoughts?
I think that with Yamamoto, he had a little bit of chemistry with Puljujarvi in the preseason. They were making things work a little bit. So I wonder if, like Sean said, if they just flip-flop Yamamoto with Reeder, because Lucic, Draisaitl, Reeder, that's a pretty decent line, and between Reeder and Lucic is some good experience there. And you have a really nice creative third line to go against the opposition's third pairing. And yeah, like the only real weakness that I'm concerned about is Benning on that second pair. I'm not sure if he's quite at that point yet where he can handle those first and second line opposition. I'm not sure he moves the puck well enough to be up there, and if Nurse is gonna take a few more risks this year to try and pad his stats, I'm not sure if Benning's the defensive conscience you want on that second pair. And you could put Russell up there and leave Benning and Bear for the third line, or flip flop however you like it. But I like there's a little more veteran depth on the team this year. There's a little more presence in the locker room than there was last year, and so I hope that those additions of Garrison and Chase they help to even out the ebbs and flows of the peaks and valleys of the season.
Yeah, of course. You were harping on that all last season. A little bit more veteran presence needed. Big thing for you was Henderson being on the out. We've already got one comment that says Nurse isn't going to be needing to pad his stats this year. That's probably true, actually. I do want to point out that Benning to me is probably the biggest question mark on the defense. I actually, I wasn't a big Benning fan last year. I was surprised that they had him back this year. Your thought? Sean, what's your thought on Benning? I've not really heard many people talk about him, to be fair. But to me, this is the part that scares me the most. Having him on the second line, second D line.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I agree. I don't think. And we got to keep in mind he's only played 128 games or something like that for his career, so he's still young, right? Typically, they say defensemen don't really want to kind of pass final judgment on them until they've reached. Some people say 200 games, some people say 300 games. So he's still got a little bit of ceiling there, even though he's a little bit older. But yeah, I'm not really comfortable with him on that second pair either. Just because I don't really think he does. I don't think there's anything. He has any outstanding qualities. Don't get me wrong. I like the kid. He's tough, but I don't, like Kelly says, I don't think he moves the puck very well. Questionable decision making sometimes. Typically, he gets pinned in his own zone. I would be much more confident. If he's on your third pair, he's your fifth or sixth defenseman, then yeah, you feel a whole lot better. But when he's number 4 getting second pair minutes, I do kind of worry. I think he is kind of the weak link there. And then, of course, if you do put Russell up with Nurse, that kind of solidifies the second pair, and they played together a lot last year, and they did really well. But then you got righty on the third pair with Bear and Benning, unless maybe you put Garrison in there. So, I kind of see Benning as not necessarily a weak link, but a guy you would much prefer to play down the lineup. But with Bear there and Bouchard, there's not really anywhere he can go. He's kind of stapled to that second pair based on default, I think.
So do either of the two of you think that Chiarelli has anything left? I mean, is he going to make any more moves? Either of the two of you?
What do you think, Kelly?
I think that we just kind of wait and see for this month, and if the crap. Hold on a sec.
All right.
Well, I'll pick up there.
Live. Okay, cool. That's enough of that. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's not like we're live or anything.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, sorry. Back to the topic at hand. The next 4 weeks, if the defense isn't looking great, then Chiarelli will make a move. If it's looking satisfactory, then he might bide his time a little more. But he's got that cap room, and he can't really touch it. Like, he needs it for when Sekera gets back, or he makes a move, and then Sekera comes back and he makes another move, when he's forced to. When he doesn't have any choice. And that could be an issue, down the line, right?
Yeah, my biggest concern in that regard is last year. This was, we're in the same boat, right? Is Sekera, of course, was out, and Chiarelli sat down with the defensive pairings that we had, thinking that we'd be all right. And then about midway through the season, it's like he thought, okay, maybe we're not all right, but by that time it was too late. I'm not sure what's out there, for one. I've been kind of having a look around the league to see, if I thought that there was anything for him to do. But I just can't see, I really can't see how smart it would be or how prudent it would be to wait until Sekera is back, right?
Absolutely. I'm not saying you wait until he gets back to make a move. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you just, if he comes back, he's got that cap room gets slapped back. Like, you get that exempt gets taken away, right?
Yeah.
So then he's back to the normal cap. So then he's got to make another move to counteract that, which means taking salary off the roster somewhere.
So, guys, I want to just point out to those of you that are watching the live broadcast, if you click on the live broadcast on Twitter, you'll get into the Periscope feed. On there is a few people that are chatting in the Periscope feed. We've got -8 at -824 figures game 5 by game 5. Benning's eating popcorn. Bears number 4 and Bouchard's number 6. He also thinks too many right-handed defensemen. Who would have thought? Which is true. We've got Vance Rooney YEG is also he's one question he's got is, has Todd really changed his systems, especially considering the power play is still 5 left-handed shots? Maybe let's move off the defense. Let's talk about that. It was a little bit of a surprise to see all 5 lefties out there. What do you guys think about that? I personally don't like it, but I guess we got to wait and see how it works.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it at all. And somebody, I forget who suggested it. I think I heard, maybe it was Rob Brown and Ree Wilkins. They were talking about taking Draisaitl off that top power play and letting him run his second power play, and then getting a right-handed shot in there. The whole issue I have, and I agree with McClellan and all that too, the issue I have here is McClellan's still not – he has all these options available, and he's still not using them properly. Like Puliarvi is a weapon. How is he not? I don't understand. On the preseason that he's had, how are you not just riding the hot hand? You know what? He's on fire. I'm going to put him with Draisaitl right away. Give him some confidence. I'm going to put him on the top power play and roll with it. Instead, I'm going to keep him. What he's doing is I'm going to keep him on the third line and give him limited minutes and just baby him. Like, it's his third season. He's a top 5 pick. Why are you holding back? There's clearly no chemistry. Yamamoto's not doing anything with Draisaitl. We don't have any right shots on the power play. What? Like, I don't understand why McLellan is holding back. I don't care what he did the first 2 years. Clearly he wasn't ready, whatever. But he's a different person. You can see in the preseason. He's just taken his game to the next level. He's matured. He's ready to go. Why are you holding back and not putting him out there? I don't understand. It drives me nuts. And this whole all left shots on the power play. I mean, St. Louis tried that last year and it didn't go anywhere. I think it's a bad idea. There are guys on here, whether it's Ratty or Puliarvi or Strome or whoever, there are right shots that you could plug in there. But for whatever reason, we know McLellan's so stubborn, and I don't know who's running the ship. I thought Viveros was brought in to kind of run this power play, but it doesn't sound like that's the case. McLellan's kind of stuck in his ways, and he's going to continue to fail before he makes any changes. And as a fan, I mean, it's extremely frustrating.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It's it kind of didn't look any different right now. I mean, the first, even during preseason, and Kelly, I mean, you brought up at one point maybe they're not, maybe they're not showing their hand yet, but I can't see that being the case. It's just looked like the same old. The one highlight was when Connor McDavid took a shot. Like, that's what everybody got excited about. And, we've had trouble setting up. We've had, to me, with a guy like, when you've got Connor McDavid, that should be, table stakes, right? Like, the setup should be a guarantee. If you can't use his speed to set up the power play in the zone, then there's a problem. Now, we're going, obviously, into Game 1 here on Saturday, and I guess we'll see. We'll see. I mean, this game against Cologne obviously means, it was fun to watch. Means nothing, though, and it's on the big ice. I assume they are going to, at the Scandinavium Arena, put in the NHL size ice. That's just an assumption. Anybody know otherwise?
No, they'll change that up. They already said.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, Kelly, you've been quiet. What's your thoughts on the power play and the all lefties?
That whole like, they keep referring back to like 2 teams that did it in like the past however many years, right? Detroit did it and St. Louis did it, and just because it worked for Detroit for a while, when they had Zetterberg and Datsuk and all them on it, doesn't mean it's going to work for the Oilers, right? I can see having Lucic in the net front, because it looks like they're still just trying to run it through McDavid, which is fine, but he's looking for that bank shot off of Lucic's stick, like we saw in the preseason, that one goal he scored in front, right?
Yeah.
And they're not like, that's fine to have those 2 guys, but you need a right-hand shot. Maybe it's Ratty you need on that other wall. Or, they could still use that right-hand shot like Bouchard, at least, just to give them a different flavor, to see how the players would react to it. But, like, I see them moving a little more. They're skating a little more on the power play. They're not as stagnant as they were last year. Gregor was talking about Gulutzin running the power play. One of the practices they saw that Gulutzin was the one running it completely and not Viveros. So I don't know what to think about that. If they're not letting the guy they brought in to run the power play, then they're fucked. Like, it's that simple. What are they doing? Like, who are they putting in a position to succeed? Right? They could just spread out the talent and give both power plays, a decent QB, because I don't know what's going on their second power play unit either. If that one's getting any time, it's getting like 20 or 30 seconds per power play, right? So they need to improve that, or else it's going to be a long season and McClellan's going to be gone in a month.
So what's driving me nuts right now is we've seen a preseason where pretty much everybody we've want to change their game up has changed their game up. Puljujärvi looks amazing out there. Lucic is even, he looks faster. I'm hoping that he's got his confidence back and can be the net front guy that we hope. And he's had a couple drives to the net that were, Lucic-like, so to speak. And but the systems haven't changed, and so. It's almost as if we're wasting all of this off-season improvement that everybody was looking for and hoping for, and we're going back to some of the crap that we were doing last year. It's driving me nuts, and if we can, we've got these new coaches. That was exciting to me. I think it was exciting to everybody who had a challenge with McClellan last year. Are we going to go back to the same, despite having a team that looks like they're ready to play? How many games in, and we've got a tough schedule to start the season. How many games in do we wait before we start changing things up again? Somebody pointed out on the Periscope on Twitter Live there that a line like Puljujärvi, Draisaitl, and Lucic together be a hell of a line in the corners, and good big-bodied guys who could play a great cycle game, something we haven't seen in a little while. Yeah. Hey, Sean, your thoughts here?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's frustrating. It's funny because McClellan talked about in the offseason how he's looking in the mirror and he's going to try and correct some of the mistakes, and yet again we're jumping the gun here. It is preseason. We haven't seen what's going to happen yet. They may come out and just totally surprise, catch us off guard, and everybody else as well. But you would think they would at least be practicing new systems in the preseason if that were the case. Another thing that's really concerning for me, and they mentioned this or we heard this in the intermission in the last game, was McClellan talking about how he wouldn't necessarily hesitate to go to Draisaitl if he felt like Draisaitl McDavid if the second line was stale. And that was one of the key criticisms of a lot of fans and media last season, was he was too quick to kind of pull the trigger and just load up his number one line. And I don't know, we didn't hear the whole interview, so I don't know if it was taken out of context or whatever, but it's the fact he did mention that Nugent Hopkins is a hell of a second line center, and the possibility is there of Draisaitl and McDavid again at some point this season, and that just kind of makes my skin crawl. Why would did you not learn anything from last season? Like, why would you go back there, right? So I want to give the coach the benefit of the doubt. I want to think that he's learned from his mistakes, but based on what we've seen so far, the power play in particular, and him talking about making some of the same mistakes as last year, I am seriously concerned. But I'm crossing my fingers and hoping game one he's going to shock all of us.
Yeah, I think we're all crossing our fingers on that one. Guys, how about we let's get Alex in. He goes by @AlClemby on Twitter. And then let's hear from Alex, and then when we're done there, let's open the lines up and get some callers in here. Let me just add Alex in. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Alex, I hope you're listening and you're ready. Let's just see. Okay, so we're going to add in Alex.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, good.
Hey, man.
Good. Thanks for joining us, Alex. So those of you that don't know, Alex goes by @AlClemby on Twitter. That's ALCLEMBEE. He's been active on the chat there on the Periscope. Your thoughts so far on what you've heard? I know you had some ideas around what you'd like to see on the power play lineup. So let me know what you think.
Oh man, I don't. So I know that you guys were talking about how the Blues ran 5 left-handed shots. I will admit, from what I saw in preseason, the power play did look a lot more active than it was. I liked how they moved the puck around. They were shooting more and more puck retrievals. But the way I see it is, if you're gonna run a power play, and this might just be me with weird coaching, because I'm not a coach. I don't know how to coach. But if I was running the power play, I would do it based off of a similar strategy, right? So that's where I had Lucic, Draisaitl, and Puljujarvi on the same line, because they're 3 big body guys. They can play a hard physical cycle game down low. And I had my defensive pairings as Nurse and Bear. You could switch those up with one right-handed shot in Bear or another forward. But I like to have my power play units, and this is what I do in my NHL video games with some success, but I like to have my units have a sort of strategy to them, not just let's overload the top lines and hope it sticks, because that always doesn't work. And we've seen that in preseason. The second line has looked actually better than the first line, and that's all right-handed shots. So I don't know. The power play, it has looked better in terms of like puck retrievals and moving the puck around, but in terms of actual execution, it looks no better than it was last year, and that's concerning.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have any disagreement from any of us here. It's there is a definite mixed optimism coming from fans right now, and most of us, I think, are feeling kind of the exact same thing, which is, the optimism comes from watching guys like Puljujarvi, who seem to have an extra speed this year. Lucic, who, I think is better. It's still hard to tell with him. I mean, the puck has died on his stick a couple times in preseason.
Yeah.
And of course McDavid, I don't know if it's possible, but you guys tell me if I'm wrong. He does look faster again, and maybe it's just that every time I watch him, I'm amazed by what he does. Draisaitl, I don't think we've seen the best out of him yet, but I think there's more to come. Yamamoto, he's certainly a preseason guy, but I think he's got it in him this year, maybe the confidence. And it was good to see Bouchard out there with that shot and some of the offensive work that he was able to do. I do think it's probably a good idea to let him, at least sit a game and see a regular season game from the press box and kind of get a feel for the speed and that.
Yeah. No disagreements there. Particularly with, here's the thing I think people have with Lucic is that they expect him to play like Taylor Hall. Straight up, they know that he was brought in to essentially replace Taylor Hall, and they expect Taylor Hall 2.0. So when I see people complaining about his speed, I go, well, no kidding, that's kind of how he plays. He's a power forward. He's not a left winger sniper. He's a left winger power forward. He's not exactly going to be Speedy Gonzalez out there. I will admit he has looked better in preseason. Yeah, he's had a couple of misplays and stuff, but from what I understand, it is preseason. He doesn't usually give 110%, so I'm hoping to see a bit more from him in the regular season. But I'm a big Luch guy. I think he's exactly what this team has needed for a while now, and I'm expecting a big rebound from him. Connor, I don't know what else to say about Connor right now. He's unbelievable. Nothing he can do surprises me anymore. Last year I saw him do things that I can't say I'll ever be surprised again. Yamamoto has looked a lot better. I think he's. I I think the 9 games he played last year really gave him a bit of a not only just a wake up call, but some learning experience and a bit of a learning curve. So I can't wait to see what he brings. Overall, I think the team has looked pretty good. Now, of course, that being said, it is preseason, and last year the Oilers went 6-2 in preseason, and well, we know how the regular season turned out. So it is good to see the improvements, but I am tempering my expectations until the regular season starts. But there have been a lot of positives, especially on the back, not the back end, but with the emergence of our right winger depth that has, until it began, was a big question mark. Is Puljujärvi going to, grow into that 4th overall pick that we know he can be? Is Yamamoto going to step up to the plate? Is Tyrati going to continue his chemistry with McDavid? All 3 of those questions had been answered in preseason. Now it's time to see if they can answer them in the regular season. So that they passed one test, but a new one begins, and I'm excited to see how they deal with that.
Kelly, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with what Alex has said. I think I've been actually thinking about Yamamoto, and with the way the roster is shaping up, I wonder if he's a candidate to be sent down just because he can be in the same way that Puljujärvi was, right? Because if he's not getting any traction on that second line, where else are they going to put him? Right, so you might as well put him down, have him play top 6 in Bakersfield. You can move Puljujärvi up to that second line, and then fiddle around with that third line right wing, be it Caggiula in there or whatever, right? So,
yeah, that's
kind of initial thought on it.
Yeah, I can see that happening. The good news is that he doesn't have to go to the WHL, so we do have that option of sending him down to Bakersfield. I'm just wondering why they haven't considered, or maybe they have, and they just kind of want to see what they get for the first 5-10 regular season games. Why keep? I would say swap. I know people are saying swap Yamamoto and Reeder around. So put Yamamoto on the 4th line with Brodziak and Cassian, and put Reeder with Lucic and Draisaitl. But I'm thinking, why don't they just swap Draisaitl, or fucking hell, Yamamoto and Puljujärvi around. Put Yamamoto on the 3rd line with Strome and Kara, and Puljujärvi with Lucic and Draisaitl. And again, I know why they're starting it with Puljujärvi with Strome and Kara, because they have that chemistry. And again, I understand consistency. You want to keep chemistry in a lineup. But I would see if they would. I want to see them kind of make that adjustment at least once during the early going. See what they can get there. Because again, like I said, you got Lucic, Draisaitl, and Puljujärvi. They're all over 6 feet tall. They're all in roughly the same weight range, and they can play that kind of game. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But it's going to be interesting to see how things go here.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, I think it's maybe time to open up the phone lines. We'll see if anybody calls in. We can continue to chat. I just want to kind of put it out there. If you want to call in tonight, you can call in and talk to any one of us. We've got, of course, SPR from Late Night with the Oil Night and oilnight.ca. Kelly from Beer League Heroes is here today at beerleagueheroes.com. And Alex, who's one of the good Oilers Twitter follows, you can find him at AlClemBee, B-E-E is the how you end that. And I am going to, so I've got the number up there. If you're watching along or if you're streaming on audio, it's 587-907-5483. I am going to put up here a kind of an interesting tweet that I saw today. It's Pierre Lebrun says, starting to think $12.5 million a year would be a bargain for the Leafs to get number 34 signed on his next deal. Sean, let's hear from you. I haven't heard from you for a bit. Your thoughts on this wonderful little piece of Twitter magic that Pierre LeBrun has put out there?
So what is he saying? Get Austin Matthews for $12.5 million?
Would be a bargain. It is now a bargain to get him signed on his next deal to $12.5 million a year.
Why? Because he scored 2 goals last night? I don't get it.
I assume that is what he's going at. It was, this was tweeted out last night. I saw it. Couldn't believe it. I mean, it's bad enough. Somebody -824 says give him 15 mil. Absolutely. Top Ball Limited says must have been hacked. Yeah, I mean, 2 goals. Did you? Who watched the game last night? I watched the whole game, start to finish.
I watched some of it as well.
I listened to some of it on the Sportsnet 590 The Fan because I didn't have Game Center Live at the time, and even if I did, I couldn't be able to watch it anyway. But I listened to bits of the game.
So
I love the fact. Sorry, Mike. I was just gonna say I love the fact that Shanahan's trying to already step in and try and get everybody to take a pay cut. He already knows what's going to happen. He already knows somebody's going to back the truck up for Matthews. So he's trying to cut corners, not only on that, but he's trying to cut corners on Nylander now, trying to play hard ball with him so he can come down. Then they're going to pull the same crap on Marner and of course with Matthews as well. I hope Matthews has a huge season, and some team offers him $14 million or whatever the hell the cap's going to be, because I think, frankly, I think the media in Toronto, I think they're their own worst enemy. They're going to indirectly run him out of town. They're going to build him up and build him up and build him up like he's the second coming of Jesus. And then Matthews and his agent are going to go to the Leafs and they're going to demand this money. And why should he take a pay cut? In his mind, there's guaranteed there are teams in the U.S. that would pay him the max next year. No question about it. Vegas, Arizona, whatever. So why, when in his right mind, would he settle for anything less than that? Oh, because he wants to be part of a winning team, part of a have a legacy, like Shanahan was saying. I think it's great. I hope he has an amazing season this year, and I hope the Leafs end up losing him. Somebody offer sheets him because he's not worth it. You're paying Tavares $11 million. You're going to pay Matthews. What's Marner going to get? 7, 8? There's no way Matthews is worth even 12.5 when Marner's only getting 7 or 8. Like, it's just, and Tavares is getting 11. It doesn't make sense. So LeBron or whoever else, they can go ahead. I know he's not Toronto, but you can go ahead and build that up all you want. Give him back the truck up for him. That's great. He's you're digging your own hole.
Yeah, I mean, this is to me. I mean, this tweet, just it's everything that's wrong with watching the Leafs any given year, right? I mean, is you can go through one game, and people wonder why they make fun of them. I mean, it's one freaking game that the Leafs, in my mind, were the lesser of the two teams last night. Montreal looked good, and Montreal is supposed to be bottom of the barrel this year. So, and I wouldn't, Kelly, you and I were back and forth on Twitter last night a little bit about it, and you said Price looked to be playing well. He looked to be playing well, but in my mind, Anderson was the savior of that game. And a poor defensive play on the in the overtime. Drives me nuts. Anyway, I'm going to take that off of my screen because it's driving me insane. I'm going to put back on here, again, dial in 587-907-5483. Talk to any of us. I'm going to move on to something else. I was listening to Fan 960 in Calgary. Their round table before the season started last night. Of course, they get run over by the Canucks. They had, now I'm trying to remember who was on their round table. There were 4 of them.
Four jabronis.
Yeah, that's exactly four jabronis, and each of them had the lowest they had Calgary, of course, was third. One of them had Calgary ahead of San Jose to go to the end of the season.
What?
And completely discounted Edmonton in the mix. In fact, which is not unusual on Flames radio, unless if it's to really sort of just pay homage to McDavid. They don't never speak kindly of the Oilers, but yeah, they had so Calgary is as high as top, and then ahead of San Jose in some instances. Interestingly, which I thought, although after seeing the game last night with Anaheim and San Jose, maybe Anaheim's better than I expected, but they had Anaheim and LA as real powerhouses in the Pacific, which is not something that I've got. Maybe we haven't heard from Kelly in a while. Kelly, your thoughts on the Pacific this year? Let's do our own little round table. Where do you see the Oilers finishing, and what's your thoughts on the rest of the Pacific?
I think, if we're going on the preface that everyone stays 100% healthy, then I can see the Oilers being as high as second in that division. Mm-hmm. I'm still a little skeptical on San Jose. I don't know how it's going to work having all those chefs in the kitchen on between Carlson and Burns, but maybe it's just my Oilers bias coming out there. I like the Flames forward depth, but man, did they shit the bed last night against Vancouver, and who does that against that Vancouver team? I don't know where those guys on the radio roundtable get off thinking the Flames are going to be so good. Did you see Mike Smith last night?
He was brutal.
That guy, is he 36, 37? There's no way, man.
Yeah, he's 36. Yeah.
Who's their backup?
David Rittich is the backup.
Exactly. Who? You know what I mean?
Well, okay, here's the thing. Why did Calgary not pick up Pickard or McElhinney off waivers?
Well, where are they in the list, though? Right?
Should be halfway.
Yeah.
Shouldn't they?
I don't know.
Well, they believe in Rittich, and they have Tyler Parsons, who's the future down below. I don't know why they believe in Rittich, because he had a good minor league or AHL season last year, but he was awful in the preseason. They're going to end up regretting that, I think. Mike Smith goes down, they're fucked.
Yeah. What about Gillies too? Right? There's a few names in there, but none of them are good.
Yeah, but they ran Gillies and Rittich when Smith went down last year, and that's what killed their playoff hopes. In fact, you could argue that Smith was the Flames MVP for the majority of last season. He's the only reason they weren't in the lottery mix from day one. Hell, even in the opening game against Edmonton, Smith was the reason it wasn't a 6 or 7-0 blowout, because Calgary did not show up at all in that game. So yeah, no, if Mike Smith goes down, he's 36 years old, he's an injury-prone goaltender. If he goes down, yeah, they are fucked. I don't want to be blunt man, Bruce here, but that's the reality. And don't get me wrong, you can say that about most goalies in the league. If Price goes down, Montreal is fucked. If Jonathan Quick goes down, LA is fucked. If Frederik Andersen goes down, Toronto is fucked. But I don't know. It's just
if Talbot goes down, so we've got Koskinen, guys.
Well.
So, it remains to be seen whether or not, let's go, Alex, your thoughts on how the Pacific goes. Where do we see Edmonton finishing? And, I think we all agree we're all on the board of hating Calgary and where they finish. Dead last in the div?
No. You know what? As much as I hate Calgary, as fantastic as that would be, I think they sneak in with a wild card or barely miss.
I agree with that.
That being said, I too see Edmonton finishing second. We know they can do it. They did it 2 years ago. They had 103 points. I still think San Jose finishes first, and I was saying that even before the Carlson acquisition. My interesting battle, though, for playoff positioning is who takes third, because I have LA and Vegas duking it out. Um, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I see Edmonton finishing second with at least 100 points.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of people actually saying they see the Pacific as nobody breaking 100 points this year.
No.
Sean, your thoughts?
It's kind of, it's up in the air. I don't think Vegas is going to be nearly as good as they were last year. It's hard to kind of climb that mountain. It's such a magical season where everything went right. Their shooting percentage was through the roof. It's going to be, if tonight is any indication, it's going to be tough for them to kind of create that magic again. And then there's a lot of pressure on San Jose. Everybody wants to hand them the cup now because Erik Karlsson. And I know it's only one game, but I kind of bought into the Kool-Aid a bit, and I drafted Martin Jones, and I'm already regretting that decision. And Fleury, too, actually. My two goalies are getting crushed. But, yeah, I think it's wide open. And the thing is, a team like Edmonton, they can just get, if Talbot holds up, they can just get hot, and they could easily win this division. Like, nobody gave Colorado a chance last year. They were shit. And as soon as they got rid of Duchesne, all of a sudden, he basically carried it. And Taylor Hall did the same thing for New Jersey. They were pretty much a one-man team in New Jersey. McKinnon was a one-man show in Colorado. And both those guys carried those teams to the playoffs. And both those defense you could argue, were less than what the Oilers have now, or at least on par. So, I mean, this year, the Oilers are pissed off. McDavid's obviously going to have a monster season. Mm-hmm. I think the key is, as long as Talbot's solid, and I think that second line, that's the key. Just get that second line, Draisaitl, get that going. And there's no reason why the Oilers can't even win the division. I think Vegas and San Jose are overrated, and I think Calgary's shit. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs at all. Bill Peters is not a good coach, as far as I'm concerned.
How do you have 7 power plays and not score on one of them?
Well, first you put a flaming C on your on your jersey. That seems to be a good way.
No, but I just... Anyway.
Yeah, no, I think we all agree with you. Yeah. There's no reason to apologize to them. I'm sure there's a Calgary Flames pod going on right now where they're talking about how awful the Oilers will be this year. Guys, I think this year though we have got and I keep going back to this. We've got a team of guys that have come back. They look energized and ready to play the season. Last year it was all about talking about, and actually I'm going to stop because somebody just made a comment on Twitter, which is something I haven't talked about. But Talbot so far this year looks like Talbot. The point is, he's saying Talbot looks like Talbot. He's back, and I have to agree on that one too. We all know the goaltending issues we had last year. If Koskinen is even, just a hair better than LB was last year, that's maybe enough to steal 1 or 2 games as a backup. Mm-hmm. Brossoit was, a likable guy, but man, did he just, where his confidence went, who knows? And, I would cringe every moment that he stepped in the net. I was at that Flames game where he let them come back, and Johnny Gaudreau scored that one from the goal line. Anyway, I don't ever want to relive that nightmare for backup. So we've got all these guys, all this depth that we, I think last year we thought we had, but didn't come out. And now this year, I really believe that we've got it. I mean, just got another plug, guys. If you want to call in tonight, please feel free. It's local number 587-907-LIVE or 587-907-5483. These guys, Sean and Kelly and Alex, you can stump them, ask them anything you want, and they'll spew whatever bullshit comes out of their mouth, and then I'll give you the way it really is, right? Guys, please call in if you can, 587-907-LIVE. I do want this to remain. I'm going to be doing this every Thursday as I can, if I can, obviously. I'll stream it start at 10 p.m. Mountain unless if there's a hockey game on. And then if there is a hockey game, I'll just I'll move it later. Dash 824 says local to where? He's a Vancouver City Oil fan. Good to see you listening from Vancouver. I'm actually I make the trek out to Vancouver almost every couple weeks, so I'll be doing a couple live episodes probably from downtown Vancouver, somewhere maybe in East Hastings or something. We'll see. Anyway, okay, so back to the Oilers. Yeah, my biggest surprise after preseason is just how much depth we have that we didn't have last year. And and I'll go back to what I said earlier. If McClellan doesn't use it properly, then we're screwed. And last year, what our best run was the run we went on before Christmas, and was that not the one rare time where he had a stretch of people that were like he had Draisaitl on the second line and Connor on the first line?
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, the Oilers won 4 straight games to put them back up to 500 and back in the playoff conversation. They had split up. They had done like a lot of weird line combinations just to try and get I remember, I think it was a game against the Buffalo Sabres. The Oilers were playing McDavid with Lucic and Camilleri. Yeah. And like that showed how bad it was in terms of line combos. Like when you have to play McDavid with Lucic and Camilleri, you know it's bad in on your lineup. So
I just threw up
they were experimenting with a lot of lines, and they'd won 4 straight to put them back into the playoff conversation. And yeah, that was when they were running McDavid, Draisaitl on 2 separate lines. And we saw it in the Anaheim series. Yes, it's great to have McDavid and Draisaitl on one line. If you need to load them up for a game-tying goal, which they did in a game against St. Louis, I'm fine with that, right? Chicago does it with Kane and Taves. They play them on 2 separate lines, but when they need a game-tying goal or an overtime winner, you put them on the same line. Pittsburgh did it with Crosby and Malkin. I'm sure Toronto will be doing it with Tavares and Matthews.
Alex, I'm going to get you to hold that thought. We do have our first call-in user today from Manning, Oilers City Dynasty. He's calling up.
And are you serious? I'm the first?
Yeah, you're not the first ever, but we've had 3 shows, so you are officially probably the 3rd ever caller. We don't get a lot of calls. So who's calling?
Well, you guys know me. I'm in your Twitter fucking Fantasy Hockey League.
Jay.
Jay, that would be me, yeah.
What's up, buddy?
All right.
You know what? Just in from a night of rabble-rousing and gallivanting and whatnot, and checking out your show, and I quite dig it, and I like what you guys are doing.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. Where do we find you on Twitter?
That would be at Oil City Dynasty.
Okay, Oil City Dynasty. So if you are not following Jay, go to at Oil City Dynasty. So what so far? What have we talked about that's maybe pissed you off, or what do you like so far about the Oilers? Where do you see them finishing in the Pacific this year?
You know what? I think second or third, as everybody's been stating, is pretty fair. Chiarelli, he gets a bad rap, but you know what? We were pretty worried about our right wing depth going into the season, and homegrown talent is showing to be a strength. And I think that comes from drafting and scouting, and from the days of the magnificent bastard era, Stu McGregor, we have grown leaps and bounds. And you know what? If the whole Chiarelli thing doesn't work out, I think we have a stud horse in the executive position of the name of Keith Gretzky. And you know what? No matter what happens, I want Chiarelli to succeed. I want Chiarelli to bring a cup here. But you know what? If not, I believe Keith Gretzky is the man.
Yeah, I not much complaint here. Sean, you know Jay. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, Jay's in our keeper pool. He's pretty good at fantasy hockey. He's not quite as good as the All Net, I must say, but he's up there. Yeah, I agree. I like the thing is with Keith Gretzky, he is a lot like Chiarelli, I guess, and they've been together for many years, right? So I think they probably have the same kind of philosophy when it comes to scouting and things like that. And I think, just me personally, regardless of what happens this year, whether the Oilers shit the bed and don't make the playoffs, and the season's a write-off, or if they end up going to the playoffs, I feel like Chiarelli's going to go upstairs. He's just going to become the president, or president of hockey operations, and kind of let Keith Gretzky take over regardless. I just kind of feel like, it's just me, I just kind of get that vibe in interviews and that. He almost seems like he's tired or he's exhausted in interviews. So I'm hoping they have a good season, and he says, you know what, it's been a good year. Keith kind of does what I do anyways. I'll still help him out when it comes to scouting, but he's probably a better negotiator than I am. So I'm going to go ahead and just, move upstairs and kick my feet up and let Keith take over. But regardless, I think it's like Jay said, there's a bright future. They've done really good in drafting so far. And I'm excited.
Now, Kelly,
I've never thought of it the way you have just put it, as far as Chiarelli going further up and Gretzky ascending. But that's probably the way it's going to go. Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't get. It's not coming off a bad season, and they say, okay, we want to remove you as GM, but we'll keep you around. Hopefully it's coming after a good season. You know what? I'm going to leave on a good note. I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to let Keith take over and kind of help him out. I hope that's what's going to happen, but we'll see.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that one.
I'm out, boys.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Jay.
Have a nice day, Jay.
Thanks for calling. Guys, is this a good time to take maybe a 5-minute break?
Yep.
Yeah, I need another beer.
Okay. I'm going to put Alex, thanks for calling in. I dropped you on the line there. We'll be back in 5. And people can call in again, 587-907-5483. Be back at, how about 11:05, guys?
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live Podcast.
And I'm back. I don't know if I've got Sean and Kelly back yet, but got a quick break. Get a little something to drink. And we'll talk a little bit of hockey as soon as Sean and Kelly return. In the meantime, I'm going to go back to this here. It's the Oilers Live Cup. I hear Kelly back. Sounds like the quiet sounds of Taiwan in the background there.
Nothing like living beside a freeway, boys.
There's a couple times where it sounds like they're drag racing out there. Tell you.
Oh yeah, they like to do that here. There's a straightaway that goes right by my house for a couple kilometers. So, it's a nice place to wind up the engine and just, feel free to go as fast as you want.
Racing strip.
Nice.
Yeah, more or less. At nighttime at 3 a.m, it's really cool when the street racers start going from Taipei to like the south of Taiwan.
You guys carry on for a minute. I will be right back. Pick a topic and run with it, and I'll join in. Hold on. Sean, you're up. This is live radio, man. No dead air. Don't give us something to chat about, and I'll be right back.
This podcast is brought to you by Oilers Live Cup. Spectators very welcome. No registration fee. Voluntary donation. After party. Lots of kegs and lots of strippers. Battle of Alberta. Come play some hockey. December 9th, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Bring your helmet and don't be late.
Jesus Christ.
How creepy was that?
Oh man, yeah, never letting you run the live show again.
Yeah.
Who's
Mike,
there?
you can put your pants back on.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
Is it Chase gonna make a call in tonight?
Is who? Sorry? Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't even know if he's
Unsafe.
listening. That is good. So for those of you that aren't on Periscope, you can click on the live broadcast on Twitter. It'll take you to Periscope, and on there's a little chat function that you can go and chat with the rest of the listeners. And then, of course, you could go onto YouTube as well. There's a chat function on there as well. I know Mr. Mega Mike Durst is watching on YouTube, so we're live there as well. So do I need to? I heard only part of it. Do I need to make any announcement for the Oilers Live Cup, or you managed to do that one for me?
I think we did a good job of promoting that.
Oh, good. So we're.
I just want to say, Mike, I think it's an awesome idea. Obviously, I live in London. I wish I could make it out there. I try and retweet it and promote it as much as I can. I think it's a great thing, and I assume you're going to try and do this every year now, are you, or is this kind of be a one shot deal? Do you think?
No, this will. The success of it, definitely every year. I'm going to do it. For as long as people show up. I think it's going to be fun. We're going to get a lot of different Oilers Twitter fans out, so it's going to be a good time. And there's going to be a couple of new skaters and a couple of, I think, reasonably decent players, and then me. I'll fit somewhere in between, I'm sure.
The 6'10" stay-at-home defenseman.
That's the one. Actually, I played last night, which is not unusual for me, and got into the dressing room after the game, and my D partner says, "You ever think about actually playing D?" So I guess I rushed a little bit up and down the ice. No big deal. Phone lines are open, 587-907-5483. Kelly, I know you've got some things. By the way, just a little shout out, Kelly's Beer League Heroes tees. I'm wearing the Fuck Kessler shirt right now. Kelly, what do you've got for Beer League Hero tees right now. You've got the Pool U, and then you've got a number of these, just like the one I'm wearing here. Which ones do you got?
Oh man, I did a whole bunch of new designs in the last couple of weeks. I've got a Poolyu. I didn't even know how to say that word in Finnish. It's Poolyu hockey in Finnish with a Finnish beer logo on the shirt.
Nice.
And that one's actually selling really nicely. We've also got a Yamamoto Nintendo parody shirt that we put up. We've got all the fuck shirts with like Kadri and Marchand and Perry and Kachuk and the refs and Bettman. Kind of up at a new platform called Threadless, and
so have you sold any of those yet?
Right now.
And
Pardon me?
Have you sold any of those ones yet? And if you have, what's the most popular one? If any of those gone, I know you just started selling them, so maybe you don't have any sales yet to go on. But
I haven't got my reports because we just put them up for the month, right? And you get a monthly report from the platform. So I haven't got the reports yet on the fuck shirts yet. So I can only assume that the Kachuk ones will sell pretty well, given the Oilers Flames rivalry. But Marchand and Wilson might top the charts, given what they've been doing the last couple days.
I was going to do a little favor for you and put the merchandise link up on the live feed, but I went, just as an FYI, I went to your link there, and your BLH merchandise link is 404 error code, so maybe you might want to get that fixed.
Is that the 404 for for beerleagueheroes.com for
the
t-shirt?
Beerleagueheroes.com. It's pointing to public.com/stores 16-bit superstars merch store.
Hey, do you guys remember when Grant Clitsum played? Is there any way you could do a fuck Clitsum shirt?
Grant Clitsum. I need to do a Grant Clitless.
Can we put in? Can the listeners put in special suggestions? Get a custom one made, like fuck SPR.
No, I do custom shirts for the 16-bit ones.
Yeah,
if you want to do a 16-bit custom, you just email me at beerleagueheroes@hotmail.com and I'll sort that out right quick. I did a ton of those custom ones last year for folks that wanted like classic players and stuff like that, or they wanted like the fighting player or the goalie, something like that. So that's totally an option. As for that broken link you went to, that's because TeePublic took that design down. That's why I had to throw them up at the Threadless platform.
Okay. All right, we'll get that fixed. Get that fixed.
Yeah, I will.
So we know where to go. Tell us where to go, Kelly. Oh, Kelly, because
BeerleagueHeroes.threadless.com I think is the address for that store. Otherwise, you go to the TeePublic one's a long one. TeePublic.com/store/16-bit-superstars-merch store.
All right.
It's super long. Just if you go to any of my blogs and click on one of the t-shirt ads at the end of the post, they are that'll take you straight to the store that I've got, or just hit me up on the Twitter. I think it's in my profile actually.
All right, so there you have it. Go do that right now. Anybody know who's behind? I know he's listening right now. Safety NHL Peros, besides Mr. Peros himself. You guys know this guy?
I'm pretty sure it's Dursa.
All right.
Unsafe.
In fact, I'm willing to bet money it's Dursa. One of his 400 burner accounts.
Oh yeah, Mr. Mike Dursa, you got a few burners out there. We've got the 16-bit tees are a killer. We got a little bit of YouTube chat going on right now. So if you guys want to listen in on YouTube as well, while you're there on YouTube, by the way, make sure you subscribe, because until I get to 100 subscribers, I'm stuck with this big long chain of a YouTube address. At the magic number 100, I get to name it, and probably name it Oilers Live, so it's easy to find. Somebody's going to steal that right now. somebody is out there and they're going to want to.
I'm already on it.
I'm already on it.
Where do we go to, Mike? Because I don't even think I've subscribed yet.
Holy shit! Wow.
Or maybe I have. I don't know. I don't go on YouTube very often.
Just go to YouTube and search Oilers Live, one word, and you'll find it there. Oilers.
No, I haven't. I haven't
Oilers
subscribed.
Live
You got okay.
Well,
I didn't subscribe to Kelly's for like 2 years. All right, there we go.
As you should be.
As you should be. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, let's go back to chatting hockey. I think we got a little bit off topic. Of course, you guys had a couple extra beers in you now. Let's chat about some of the games that we've seen so far this year. Any big surprises? Maybe let's go league. If you guys could pick a sleeper this year, who would be your sleeper? Maybe Kelly. Let's start with you.
You know who I like this year are the Hurricanes. Wow. I think they've. I watched their game today with the Islanders, and they were absolutely dominating. Not that the Islanders are any good. They won the game in the end in overtime.
Yep.
But Carolina was super fast, super skilled. Svechnikov is a fucking beast out there. He rang one off Grace's head and busted his helmet.
Oh,
and I was like, "Holy shit, buddy!"
Yeah.
But I like Carolina, and I think a lot of people are going to pick Florida in the West as someone that might hop into the playoff picture, or in the East. Sorry, for the West, it's a good shout on the West. It's a bit wide open. Maybe Dallas for a sleeper, someone that might kind of shock. They got a new coach. They got this kid named Heiskin on the back end. I really like him. And, we'll see how it goes with Dallas. Their division's pretty tough, and someone's going to drop out. But you're picking sleepers. I like them.
Yeah, okay. Sean, your thoughts?
Yeah, as far as sleepers, Carolina's a trendy one. I like them as well. I like Nikash. I like Svechnikov. I like Dougie Hamilton there. Their goaltending's got to hold up, but I think they're good enough to get into the playoffs. I think Aho takes the next step too. I also like Florida, but I don't like their goaltending. I don't like Luongo, who's like 100, and James Reimer, who can't seem to be a full-time goalie. So, between those two teams, I think they're probably battling out for the 7th or 8th spot. In the West, got to pick a sleeper, man. I don't know. Dallas, yeah, maybe Dallas. I'm just looking at who else. I mean, Arizona's probably going to be better than the worst team in the NHL or close to it. I think this year they'll actually get to respectability a bit.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get to a playoff spot, but I could see them finishing ahead of Calgary and Vancouver likely. So I'll go ahead and say Arizona climbs the standings a bit in the Pacific.
My personal thoughts. So in the East, I think, just looking at the speed of Montreal last night, I wouldn't be surprised if they're a little bit better than people expected them to be. But I would, I'm also kind of siding with you guys on the Carolina side. But if I'm gonna sort of pick a team that I think will surprise people, it'd probably be Montreal. And if Price is anything near where he could be, that speed, some of the playmaking ability, we'll see how Kotkaniemi does. As the season progresses. Obviously, he's still pretty young. So it could be a long season for him, but I'm going to take Montreal. In the West, a little bit different. I would say, in my mind, after everybody's kind of gone through their picks and everything, the one that I think will do better than people are expecting them to do, because I think there's been a little bit of chatter about maybe Colorado regressing a little bit. I think Colorado is going to be up there again this year. Dallas should be as well. The West is going to be really super competitive this year with Calgary probably fighting Vancouver for last place. Other than that, just trolling on that one, but wouldn't that be great?
What do you think of? Do you think Kovalchuk's going to do anything in LA? We haven't seen LA play yet, but
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's 34 years old. You think he's going to have a positive impact or no?
I think LA's done personally. Like I just think they're overhyped right now. I doubt that they're. I don't even see them as a playoff team. Although Doughty is Doughty, and but I think they're overhyped. Your thought?
Yeah, I wouldn't count them out. They turned into a bit of more of an offensive team last year, I thought. And obviously a lot of it depends on Jonathan Quick if he stays healthy. But if he does, and Kopitar had a monster year last year, and Dustin Brown had a monster year too. But yeah, they've got a couple of young guys that kind of stepped up a little bit. Ledoux and Adrian Kempe and whatever. If Kovalchuk can contribute maybe 25, 30 goals, I think they have a chance. Because again, the Pacific, I think, is wide open. I don't think anybody's going to run away with it this year. So I wouldn't count them out. But yeah, a lot depends on health, right?
So we've got a new caller in. I'm going to, he's been waiting patiently, or she, we'll see. Just hold on 1 second.
Yep.
We have got
Hi.
caller in. Hi. Go ahead.
Hi. I have a question that's off topic, but I need someone's opinion. Well, my mom wanted me to move her car to help my brother jump his car, and I ran over my neighbor's cat. What do you think I should do? Like, how do you think I should tell my neighbor?
Thanks. I put our caller on mute there, but Kelly, is that your kid?
You guys are heartless. Somebody's cat is dead, and you're laughing about it, you pricks.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Well,
Call the police.
Leave it there and let the neighbor find it.
Call the police.
well, I dropped my first caller.
That was funny.
So thanks for calling in. I'm not sure who that was, but that's awesome. I was on my way home from hockey last night and got some joy out of listening to the overtime Flames call-in session, which I love listening to after a Flames loss, especially one where it was an 0-7 power play. Anyway, this older woman calls in, and I don't know. She sounded about 90 years old, and she says, "I've only got one comment, and Rome wasn't built in a day," or something like that. And all I could think about is I'm doing this live show this year, and when the Oilers lose, I'm going to get, as people start to listen, I'm going to get some super idiotic questions. And, it's going to be a test of my patience. And these guys that do, these overtime call-in shows, they've got to be patient people. Anyway, thanks for the call. I do have a question from our own Eric Friesen, who says, how many points do you guys think the Yamamoto is going to get this year?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Kelly mentioned this before. He thinks that that Yamamoto might get sent down. I think that's actually going to be the case as well. If he doesn't click with Draisaitl, then where's he going to go? If McLellan's bent and determined to keep Puljujarvi on the third line, then potentially just Reeder goes up to the second line, right? So I don't think Yamamoto is going to have much of an impact this season. He might have it late. So I'm gonna keep the expectations low, and I'm just going to say he's going to have 25 points for the season, with probably playing a total of, maybe he might get half a season when it's all said and done. Maybe 10, 15 games early and another 25 or so the end of the season. So I'll say 25 points.
Okay, 25. That's pretty low.
I don't know. That's a good shout. I mean, if he's there the whole season and he's getting PK and power play time, and time in the top 6, I don't see any reason he can't be in the 35 to 40 point range. But yeah, I think he's going down as soon as they get back to North America, to be honest, and so they can fit Chase on in and get their roster sorted out. And then it won't matter. Maybe he'll come up at the end of the season, depending on injuries or where the Oilers are sitting in the playoff race or whatever. That's just my guess.
If they and you both, I think you're both pretty certain that Yamamoto is going to spend some time in the AHL this year. If you send him down, who replaces him? Obviously, I mean, you think Jason Kelly? Neither of you think Kajula?
I don't think Chason replaces him in the top 6.
No, not in the top 6, but he's going to pick up the extra spot. I would suggest maybe we see Puljujarvi move up to the second line, Reeder move back to right wing on Strome's line, maybe Kara on left.
I'm just wondering what kind of boner McClellan has for Puljujarvi playing with Strome, because I don't know where this chemistry talk is coming from. I don't remember seeing a whole lot of chemistry between those two. I thought they played okay, but they, it's not like they're producing on a Nugent Hopkins McDavid level or anything like that. I think it's a narrative that's being driven out of the team, to be honest, and they're just giving Puljujarvi a little extra time before they move him up into the top 6. Maybe Reeder goes up there, but yeah, I'm still not convinced that Reeder's a top 6 player. I think he can spot fill from time to time.
I think Reeder's a good compliment. Reeder's kind of like Ratty for me. He's kind of that, and as you know, I'm kind of big on pairs, right? Like if you have the two pairs, if you have a pair on each line, like a McDavid and Hopkins, you can have a Ty Ratty, a guy that kind of keeps the play moving, retrieves some pucks, whatever, just has a complementary skill set. Same thing with the second line. You've got Draisaitl. If you had Draisaitl with Puljujarvi, you've got a great pair there. Then Reeder would be a nice complement because he kind of brings a speed aspect there to that third line, kind of keeps it moving, whatever. But Lucic seems like he's pegged for the second line, so then Reeder doesn't necessarily fit in there. But yeah, if you do send Yamamoto down, then you're probably moving Puljujarvi or let's say Reeder to the second. They're your second and third right wingers, and then Kara's on the third line, and then your fourth line is Cassian, and it's Brodziak, and it's Kajula, and then Chason is your extra forward with Yamamoto getting sent down, and I actually think that when Mike, you were talking about this, when they get back to North America, I think Yamamoto's going down the AHL, and I think Bouchard's going to the OHL, or he'll be going shortly after that. I think they just want to keep him up as long as they can, just get that exposure, get used to the guys and whatever. But I'm not really certain on how many games he's actually going to get. But one last thing I just want to mention real quick is it's funny that if you compare Alex Chason to Zach Cassian, you compare their skill sets, and they're both on the fourth line. They're both the same age. You look at their stats. Alex Chason's got a Stanley Cup ring, and he's cheaper compared to Zach Cassian. We're talking a lot about trades and that. I think if somebody does get traded, it could be Zach Cassian because we almost have overkill. We almost have two of the same type of guy with Chason and Cassian on the team. Obviously, you want to try and save salary, so I think Cassian might be on his way out as well. But that's probably not going to happen right away. But that's something I would anticipate in the near future.
So we haven't said enough about this. I know listening to Late Night SPR that you talked about the signing of Ratty as being a highlight. How about Brodziak? I mean, has that not turned into a great signing for the Oilers this year? I mean, he plays fourth line minutes, but is he? And Kelly, you're big on the veterans. I mean, he's the kind of guy you want on this team. And, I mean, to me, that's one of the bigger signings of the summer. I just think he shows a lot of poise and patience back there in a fourth line role. and he's been noticeable every game in a good way. All right. Somebody says bring back Maroon. I don't know if that's going to happen. Let's talk. I mean, Kelly, you haven't said much about Bouchard. I'm on the. I side with SPR on this, sending him back. I think we'd be. I think it's ridiculous if we keep him up past 9 games, unless if he does something that is just unbelievable as a player, as a defenseman player, D man. Kelly, your thoughts? Does Bouchard make it past 9, or do you send him down?
If it were me, I would have sent him down. I think, but because I can't see him doing anything that's extraordinary that'll keep him up. Right, the coaches aren't going to put him in that position, and so he's best served probably going back to the OHL and leading London to a Memorial Cup and Canada to a gold medal, and coming in next year being 20 years old by the time the season starts, and then also being eligible to go to the AHL. So the options become more flexible if they send him back next year. Also, that gives Bear an opportunity to showcase his skills this year, and he's looking really, really good. And I like what I've seen from him so far. What it looks like against NHL competition will be a different story, I think. But he moves the puck very well, and we've seen that last season. And I'm still seeing a little bit of slow puck moving from guys like Clefbaum and Russell and Larson and stuff like that, and they're going to have to cut that out of their game in order for the Oilers to be that much more successful.
Yeah, I'm worried about the D on this team. It's funny you make fun of the Leafs last night because their defense was absolute dumpster fire. I don't know how many times they lost the puck in the slot. It was sick. I felt bad for Leafs fans for the first time in a long time. Well, I shouldn't say I didn't feel that bad, but putting Bouchard down, I just don't want it to be a case of us keeping Bouchard because we've got a poor group of D right now. I'm scared of it. I'm scared of our defense a little bit, which is obvious. Sean, you were going to say something. I cut you off.
I was just going to talk about, I guess, with Bouchard and Bear. Bear I think he's kind of shown, he has the experience now, and he's shown that he can pretty much do everything that Bouchard can right now. Other than Bouchard does have that incredible first pass kind of thing, but you can tell the Oilers are really sheltering him. They're not really giving him any power play time. He's kind of hanging back more. He's not really taking any chances. Whereas Bear pretty much has free reign, right? And again, like I said, he has that experience. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to keep Bouchard around other than just to kind of get used to the players and that. And I feel like he's just getting the Yamamoto treatment like last year. They might put him in for a game or two and just kind of extend the 9 games, but ultimately he is going back. And it's as far as the defense goes in general, I'm probably a little bit more optimistic than you are. Just of course, as long as they stay healthy, I feel like even if you look at, let's just say there's injuries, just say to the bottom pair, for example, let's say Barron Russell, somebody gets hurt there. If you look at your 7, Garrison, your 8, 9, and 10 would be Kevin Gravel, who I actually like, at least to slot into that third pair. And then you've got Keegan Lowe and then, Caleb Jones in no particular order. I feel like there's enough serviceable guys there in case of injury that they should be okay. It's just, again, and we kind of circle back to when we were talking about Matt Benning. He's kind of the big question mark on the second pair, whether or not he's able to handle that or not. But overall, I think as a group, I think they're pretty solid. And of course, the goaltending, a lot of times the goalie can make the defense look a lot better. So it does kind of come down to Talbot. If he plays like he has in the preseason and 2 years ago, I think he's going to make the defense look a lot better. But overall, I think they have the potential to be a strong group. It's just, again, everybody's got to stay healthy and the goalie's got to be good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, injuries. When they announced, Russell wasn't skating, and then of course Larson was the concern. Only did the first period of that Flames game. Wow, I actually just, my heart dropped for a bit there. I mean, love or hate Russell, you need him to round off this defense right now. And I'm not as anti-Russell as some of the people out there, but if he's out and Larson's out, I mean, then you've got Bouchard is sticking around, right, unless you pick somebody up. Gravel did look good, I thought, and it was you, SPR, that made me think about it. It was a timing issue, really, for him to be sent down when he was. The waivers were actually quite active this year. I thought people picking up people on waivers. I wasn't upset that we got rid of, or that Aberg was picked up, or that Jerabek was traded. I mean, those were good. I did have one Aiden on the YouTube live. Said he read a piece about the Oilers lines this week, which we've talked about, the frequency of line swapping and how that affected chemistry. Kelly, your thoughts on this year? I mean, we're talking right now about sending guys down and moving guys around. What do we need to do in terms of, do you think that makes a difference at all? Or, I mean, we've heard comments from McDavid to that effect, or are we just worried about the top line? What's your thoughts there, Kelly?
I think you want to focus on your main players, the guys that are going to contribute the most to your lineup, right? I don't think we should be worried about 20-year-olds and like Yamamoto and like our bottom six defensemen in terms of like swapping in and out. Like Sean said, you got to go with the pairs, the players that work well together, and use a complementary player on that line to keep them above water, right? That's about all I can say there. It's not as complicated as some will make it out to be, right? You find a good winger for your center, and then you go with it, right? So that's what I think.
There's so many examples too, and you can look around the league and you can look in just past history. Just look at all the successful pairs. You can go back to Gretzky and Curry, right? Who the hell did they have as their winger? I mean, it rotated a lot. It was Tikkanen, and it was Semenko, it was whoever it was. You've got, for many years you had Getzlaf and Perry, and you had Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn, and the Sedins. Who the hell ever played with the Sedins? They threw Alex Burrows or whoever out with there. As long as you have a third player as a complementary skill set, they can just keep the play going, keep it alive, get the puck. An amazing interview, probably my favorite interview in the summer. Ty Ratty talked about how they said, why are you so successful right now with Hopkins and McDavid? He says, because I'm smart enough to know just give them the puck. I give them the puck and then just get open or just go to the net. And that's all you really need. You don't have to have a $6 million winger if you already have a quality pair on each line. So if you look at the Oilers, it doesn't take rocket scientists, and I don't pretend I'm an expert coach or whatever, but it doesn't take rocket science to look and say, okay, look at the roster. Hopkins and McDavid works. We've seen it work. We know it works. McDavid's happy. Hopkins is happy. Just leave it. Don't touch it. Just leave it. Look at the second line. You've got Draisaitl. The key to this season is we got to find somebody that we can match up with Leon. And Lucic is not the answer. Lucic can be a great complementary player, and maybe he stays on that line. But you need a scorer on there, and nobody has played better, other than maybe Ty Ratty. Nobody has played better than Puljujarvi in the offseason. Puljujarvi has the skill set. He's taken the next step. You can see it. Puljujarvi with Draisaitl should be a no-brainer. And throughout the year, you should just go McDavid and Hopkins and Puljujarvi and Draisaitl. And if you got to rotate the third wheel, then by all means do that. But that should be the key, is stick with those pairs, let them develop chemistry, and eventually somebody will step up as that third winger, or that second winger, I guess, the third person on the line, and go from there. But McLellan just loves that blender, loves to switch up the lines, and it drives me nuts. And it hurt the team last year. Guys like Slepyshev and that couldn't get consistent ice time with a quality center in the top six, and they all kind of fell off. He's got to stick with it. And Yamamoto's got talent, but he's not ready to play with Draisaitl yet. You've got stop putting Puljujarvi with Strome and dragging Strome around the ice. Put Puljujarvi with Draisaitl and just leave it, for God's sakes, and let everybody else just kind of play around that.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up some good pairs there for sure. I think it'd be nice. It would be nice to see some consistency in the lines, at least for a little while, right? And hope that some chemistry goes. I mean, but to that point, though, and this is maybe why it's a little bit believable that we'll see Yamamoto get sent down when they get back. Is you can't really I don't think you can put Yamamoto down on the third line yet, right? I mean, I think you need him to be playing top 6 minutes if he's going to play in the NHL this year. And so you put him on Draisaitl's line for a couple games until you get back and have hopefully see if there's any success there. But then I think you're right. I think you put Puljujarvi up there. I mean, he's proven that he can be that guy, and he can. I guess the one thing though about Puljujarvi, which if you have him on the third line, is he did. There were a couple of games where he drove that line on his own during the preseason. Granted, it's preseason. But if you could get 3 lines going, that'd be something we haven't had for a little while. Maybe
see,
12 years.
I think that's getting a little greedy though.
Yeah.
The Draisaitl line hasn't really been clicking at all. I think you kind of almost have to start with 2 lines, get 2 lines going. I'm a firm believer in top 6. Your top 6 guy, you play your best players in your top 6. That's it. And then your bottom 6 is penalty killers and utility guys. But the top 6, you got to put your best players there. And Puljujarvi on the third line is just, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it just seems like a waste. He's proven he's, just in the offseason, everybody's getting a boost up in the lineup because they had good preseason, except for Puljujarvi. He's still the one that's down in the bottom 6, and I don't understand it. It's time to get rid of the training wheels and put him with Draisaitl and just let him. Why not at least try it there? Why are you forcing Yamamoto there? Put Puljujarvi there. He's ready. He's a top 5 pick. He's ready to go.
Yeah, and they might be doing that when they get back, right? So guys, let's round out the last 15 minutes here. We've still got the lines open, 587-907-5483. If anybody's kids want to call in, and it'd be pleasure to talk to them. We've got some people chatting on the Periscope link, which you get to by just going on Twitter, clicking the live feed. It'll take you to the Periscope link. You can chat there. We've got a David Truman 20 who has been chatting quite a bit and has some good things to say. Asking, we'll get to this right away, David, why can't Yamamoto play on the third line? And of course you can go on YouTube, stream it there. We're going to go down to the last 15 minutes here, and then we'll close her up for the night. We've also got, by the way, one or two listeners on the live stream audio, so that's good. So lots of people listening tonight. Thank you, everybody. let's talk about Yamamoto quickly, and thoughts on can he play on the third line, or should he play on the third line if he stays up? And then I'd like to finish off by getting your opinions on how you see the first 10 games of the season going for the Oilers, because I think that's probably their toughest stretch. So I'll start on Yamamoto. My personal thought on him is, and I always think about this with a young guy like Yamamoto, is I hate to see them being put into that third line role where, they're not playing a ton of minutes, especially coming from, a successful, stint in junior where he's playing big minutes, right? And to come down or not come down, but to get up to the NHL and then be forced back into, anywhere from 14 to 16 to 17 minutes a game. I think that's hard on the confidence. And, I think Yamamoto can go play in the AHL, play with a good, Marody is a hell of a playmaker. And if he goes there, he gets lots of confidence, gets a real feel for the pro game in the AHL, and we bring him up. He has a little bit of success. Because I think he's a top 6 guy. Just maybe not this year, but we'll see. Agree, disagree, thoughts? Maybe Sean?
Well, I disagree, actually. I think he can be on the third line. We did see a little bit in the preseason there. He was, or I guess maybe it was in Germany, he was on the penalty kill with Hopkins, so it looked like the coaching staff was trying to, test him out in some different situations to see if he could be a bottom 6 guy. And one of the reasons why, and I don't agree with it, but one of the reasons why McClellan has Puljujarvi on the third line is because he likes his chemistry with Strome, and he's kind of accredited a lot of leadership from Strome, saying that Strome is basically helped Puljujarvi along the way. He's kind of taken that leadership role, and they've kind of worked well together. Well, there's no reason why he can't do the same with Yamamoto, in my opinion. There's no reason why the situation Puljujarvi is in right now, that can't be Yamamoto instead. And I think with Yamamoto, because last year he did have a 9-game trial and it didn't go so well and he got sent down, if you put him in a top 6 role with Draisaitl where he's clearly not clicking and he struggles again and doesn't score in another 9 games, then his confidence is going to be shot. Whereas if you do put him in a third line role, the pressure is off a bit and the coaches say, okay, well, I'm going to get you to kind of work on some other aspects of your game. And then if he does kind of get some goals along the way, well, that's just a bonus, right? So for me, I actually think it is a good idea to keep him on the third line and kind of take some of the pressure off him, because I don't think he is quite ready yet. I mean, he has a bright future in this league, I think. But, I think you need to kind of dial it down a little bit for him and give other guys maybe a little bit more opportunity. That's kind of where I stand with that.
Okay. Kelly, I'm going to block you here. We got a call in. And maybe you'll be first to respond to, I think it's Steve is calling in. Hold on one second, Steve. I'll get you on right away.
Hello?
Oh, shit.
Hello.
Well, Steve. Welcome to Oilers Live.
Thanks.
What do you got?
If Ty Ratty has a huge trade value at the deadline, doesn't sign an extension, do we keep him if Yamamoto or Puljujarvi can slide into that role? Or do you take like a first overall?
Kelly, you start on this one. What's your thoughts?
I think he's an RFA, so if he can keep him, and it also depends where the Oilers are in the playoff race, right? But if you're in the thick of it and you're on your way to the playoffs, then you keep him, because you know that he's going to contribute in the playoffs, and then you deal with whatever contract negotiations or demands that he may have in the offseason because he retained his rights.
Yeah, so we go to...
I didn't realize he was an RFA. I thought he was UFA. I thought he had UFA status. My bad.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, Ratty's definitely still one more. Yeah, I think he would be a UFA after he signs his next contract, being aged out of that category.
I like what Steve said. I like what Steve's thinking, though. What he's thinking is because Ratty's you're going to pump him up, and then come the trade deadline, if the Oilers are out of it, you might as well get something for nothing, right? And the thing is, I mean, he doesn't really have a lot to bargain with because the Oilers already let Maroon go because he was playing with McDavid, and they figured, well, he only did well because of McDavid, right? So if another team is willing to give you a first-round pick or a high pick for it, then the Oilers Chiarelli's got to look at it and say, well, if Ratty can have success here, then pretty much anybody can. And we talk about Yamamoto playing in the top 6. You've got Yamamoto coming. So, yeah, I mean, if it was me, even the fact that he is an RFA, I would still trade him if you can get something good for him, sure, because you can just plug Yamamoto in next year with McDavid and you're good to go.
Do you think we see...
or a prospect D.
Maybe that's where we see Yamo at some point this year, playing a couple first-line minutes. I mean, we haven't really talked about that. That's quite possible, especially with the way McClellan, runs the lines. But to your point, SPR, if we could just, see him with a long stretch of games with Nuge, I think we'd all be happy, rather than the constant line shuffling there. Steve, any other comments?
That's it.
Awesome. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
So there we go. Now let's just chat about the. We'll shut it down here in about 8 minutes. We've got 8 minutes left. Maybe start Kelly. What do you see happening for the Oilers' first 10 games of the season? It's not till October 18th is the home opener, so that's a long ways away yet. 2 weeks away, which I'll be at that game, by the way.
Yeah, it's a tough go, that first 10, isn't it?
Yeah.
New Jersey, Boston, New York, Winnipeg, Boston, Nashville, Pittsburgh, Washington, Nashville, Chicago. Is that the 10?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, God. Smash your head into a wall. That's a tough one. I think that I'd be happy with 500. Yeah, I'd be happy with a 500 record after that run, because that's a shitty pile of teams to go through in your first month of the year.
So is a 500 record though good enough for this team right now? I mean, we talked about it all at the end of last season, right? How do the first 10 games go for the Oilers, in this season? Because it was so important. Most of us, almost everybody, thought that this was the 10 games that meant McClellan was the coach for the season, or he steps aside. Do you think that 500 is good enough? If he goes 500 in those games, do they give him a bit of a pass to say, hey, that's a tough stretch and we're happy with 500, or is that just not good enough? Do we need to be, that one game over 500, sounds that much better, but let's just stick with Kelly on that.
I think they got to be realistic about it too. Like, that schedule is not doing them any favors, and they're not. I don't think they're expected to beat teams like Pittsburgh and Washington and Nashville. Like, if we're being optimistic, then yeah, we could say like 7 out of 10 wins or something like that. But I feel like that's extremely optimistic given their opposition. I don't think the record would seal McClellan's fate. I think it would be those, how's the power play looking, or how's the penalty kill looking, or what are what's the media talking about and stuff like that. But after that, it eases up a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one in terms of like saving McClellan's job. Yeah, what do you think, Sean?
Well, yeah, looking at the schedule, I agree with you. It's if they're 500, I mean, you can't expect them to, they've got what? They got 2 games against Boston, 2 games against Nashville, Pittsburgh, Washington, Winnipeg. Like, that's pretty tough. If they win the games they should, let's say, quote unquote, New Jersey, Rangers, Chicago, and I guess that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Yeah, like, I mean, I'd be happy with 5-5. I think realistically, what's going to end up determining McClellan's job is the month of November. They've got, I think, 13 or 14 games in the month of November, and they've got 6 or 7 divisional games. So you got to at least see how they do against their divisional opponents first. They're playing a lot of East teams here to start out, and that doesn't really matter much. So if they can go 5-5 against the Eastern Conference for the most part, that's fine. But they got to take care of business in the month of November, especially against their divisional opponents, or, he's going to be out on the pavement, I think.
Yeah, I think in my mind anyway, it's a mix of both, right? I look at October and the start that this team needs to have as being so vital to the success of the season. I think that given the talent that you have with a guy like McDavid and what Draisaitl is supposed to be, and I think most Oilers fans know what he is. I think he's a bit underrated, in fact, in the league. I mean, he never seems to make it in the top 50 of anybody's projections. Yet, he's been, just outside of the top 10, and then in the top 10 the season before. Anyway, my feeling is you can go 5-5 and be all right, but the big question will be, what's the special teams look like, right? If you go 5-5 and your power play sucks ass, I think there's questions. You got big questions, right? You go 5-5 and the penalty kill is awful. Same thing. Now, if you go 5-5 and your power play looks like it's got some momentum and might carry you through the year. McDavid's running on all cylinders. You got at least two lines going, and you are in every game. Then that's something. But if we go through this stretch of 10, I don't care how tough it is. If we totally shit the bed and we we get it's potential we could go 3-10 or 3-7. And look horrendous against those other teams. We need to compete, I guess, is what I'm saying. We need to compete. We need the special teams to look good. I wouldn't, personally, I would be on McClellan for the first 10 games, no matter what. I don't care what the schedule looks like. You're an NHL team. You got to compete night after night. And if that compete's not there, I would, and I don't think that Chiarelli might make that move that quick. But I would love if they weren't doing well in that first 10, and they looked awful. I'd be on board with them making a quick change. Anyway,
a lot depends, like you said, if whether they lose 1-0 or 6-0, right? Like last year at the beginning of the year, there were some horrendous games where they didn't even show up. Well, if that happens again, then yeah, of course you're going to get rid of them. But I mean, if they lose 3-2 in overtime but get a point, well, that's a different type of loss, right? So a lot depends on how they perform. Not necessarily worry too much about the overall record as long as they get some type of points or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue regardless, right?
Yeah.
The pieces are in place for when McClellan and Chiarelli are let go, right? Gretzky's already lined up to be the next GM, right? And Gulutzin and Yanni and Viveros are there to take over for when McClellan's gone too. So, they could they could do it whenever they felt like it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Guys, we're at midnight local time, 2 o'clock out in Ontario, and who knows what time it is in Taiwan.
2 p.m. It's time for lunch.
Time for lunch. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining me live. Of course, you guys always welcome on the live show. Again, be doing this pretty much every Thursday, 10 p.m. Mountain. If there's a hockey game that goes late, we'll start at the end of the hockey game. I may take nights off that the Oilers get absolutely ransacked, so I don't have to put up with the shithead callers.
That'd be the best time.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, right. Let Sean and Donnie handle those ones.
Yeah, that's right. To anybody listening, if you want to be on any of the recorded shows, the Heavy Hockey Podcast, or for that matter, Late Night with the Oil Night, I'm sure just reach out to any of us. I'm sure we'd be happy to get you on. Thanks again. Remember, register for the Oilers Live Cup. We'll go with last thoughts. Jump ball. Who wants to take it first, and then second after that? Who wants to go first? Last thoughts.
I guess I could go.
All right,
Sean,
Kelly,
you going
good.
first?
No, I was waiting for Kelly to say he's going.
Okay, good.
That's a pretty even jump ball.
Yeah.
Listen, it's going to be a fun season this year. I'm really looking forward to watching Puljujarvi finally kind of spread his wings and reach that potential we've all been waiting for. And Talbot's looked great in the preseason, and I think that the Pacific's going to be a lot different than a lot of people have predicted. So, game 1 against Hall, I hope he tries to elbow Kazian in the mouth again, and we see a round 2 with those guys.
Awesome. And Sean, last thoughts.
Yeah, we better fucking beat New Jersey and Taylor Hall. That's all I have to say there. I just want to say and real quickly here with there's talk about the expansion in 2020 season. They're pushing for that, and I think that's going to play a bit of a part when it comes to sending Bouchard back or not. If he does go back this year, then and expansion is in 2020, then the Oilers don't have to protect him. If they keep him and it ends up and he plays the majority of the year this year, and then the expansion happens in 2020, he's one of the guys they have to protect. So then between Nurse, Clefbaum, Larson, and Bouchard, and I guess you're going to have Benning and Bear as well. They're in a bit of a pinch. So that may play a bit of a factor when it comes to sending him back. But Ethan Bear really has taken a lot of steps in the preseason. I'm really excited about him kind of moving forward, and I think he can do a lot of what Bouchard can this year. So I expect him to continue his success and Bouchard to go back. And then just lastly, it's funny looking next year, we're going to have Larson, Benning, Bouchard, and Bear, 4 right-shot defensemen. It's possible we end up moving a right-shot D for something else moving forward. It's finally Chiarelli's fixed the leftorium, and he's done a great job of drafting everything, and it's going to be a good year. The team looks good on paper, and like you said, the Pacific's wide open. So I think we're going to surprise a lot of people and go Oilers.
Absolutely. Thanks again, guys. Last action for everybody. Follow me on YouTube. Just search Oilers Live on YouTube. Follow Beer League Heroes on YouTube. Check out the websites, oilnight.ca, beerleagueheroes.com. Love having you guys as guests. You've been along for the whole ride. We're in season 2 now. This is the year, guys. We're going to have a good year. I feel it. And let's go Oilers. Have a great night.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mike.
Good night. Fuck you, Calgary.
Bye-bye.